started here. Give me just a second. Ah, everything's wrong. Our stream should be not happening now, then soonish. Hey, yo, look at things. Okay. So I sent a thing that it's going to be delayed. I'm using not my hover cam because I'm still at school and my hover cam lives at home. And so, yeah, guys, right now, be sure you have your agriculture review. Be sure you have your agriculture review. And if you have like a notebook paper that you want to kind of take some notes on, I'm going to have a sheet of notebook paper for me to take notes on. Kind of get yourself set up, get some colorful things to write with so that like this can be a joyful experience, a fun thing to look at. All the things are happening. Thank you for seeing my logo. It's really small, but that's the point. So super fan teacher at Aggie Puckett. Look at me, sometimes I do things. Like I said, guys, we're gonna wait till 6:05. I had to do a hard reset on my computer, and so it's taking a little bit. But like I said, get colored pencils, get a sheet of notebook paper, get something to write with so we can power through and hopefully know things. We're gonna see how all this looks. So it's really weird because through the non-live stream thing, everything that I'm looking at, it's like the paper is flip reversed and it's super confusing to look at. It's like mirror image, but whatevs, we're fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. It is 6:05. So if you didn't get here before 6:05, just a couple of reminders. Guys, set up your papers. Have something to write with. Have some notebook paper. We're gonna do all the things today. I've also posted our quizzes to the Google Classroom, so you guys have that opportunity to review, and hopefully this live stream is not an hour and 45 minutes long. Hashtag goals. Okay, so put your name on it. And I'm gonna put a smiley face because I remember to put my name. If you want, you can like write a smiley face, or you can like draw like an umbrella. Umbrella for Joshua. A documentary because it was great. I'm really good at umbrellas, guys. Like, I don't know if you see this, but you're like, man, is it raining outside? Because I feel like I just saw an umbrella. Which I say, I know I'm really good at art. And just to, you know, make it even better. And a little bit of this. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to color it in. Make it yellow because, you know, it's really good. Ooh, your notes look like a rainbow puked on it. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. Who is Tony? Tony, who are you today? All right, so other things and stuff. So we're gonna start with the matching. So number one, hunting and gathering. If we can, hey Ryan and Kevin. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad we're getting all the things are happening. Super good at words. So first of all, hunting and gathering. So hunting and gathering is actually a pre-agricultural. Antonia, I always forget that you're Tony in this. Like I always forget. And that was one of my friends' name when I was in middle school. Her name was Antonia, and she went by Tony. Tony with an I too. It's perfect. Hi Della. Hi Nathan. Okay, so hunting and gathering. Here's where we're at. So hunting and gathering is actually pre-agricultural, pre-agricultural, technically. However, that's what I taught you guys. But when we're looking at our choices, and guys, it is a common AP practice to focus under the mindset of what is my best option? What is my best option? What is my best answer choice that I could pick from? And so as we're looking at that, sorry, I had to readjust for a second. As we're looking at that, my best option through all of these, what is my best option? And if you said B, a nomadic form of early agriculture still practiced today. It's practiced today in arid climates. It's practiced today in places where they can't really have agriculture. So Jillian, you asked a good question. Student just asked, do you recommend actually reading through the chapter instead of just scanning for what we need, or will that be enough for the test? You know, it really depends on how you learn best. I would recommend going through the chapter and being sure that you understand everything. If you're looking at something, you're like, okay, I already know this, then you don't have to read that part. But if you see a title or something that you don't remember learning about, or maybe it was as part of the reading guide that you couldn't find before, but now you found it, then yes, I would read that part and become familiar with it. Second question, or second, number 2, aquaculture. So aquaculture, I feel like the name kind of lends itself to that. Aquaculture is the cultivation of seafood. Seed agriculture. So seed agriculture, that is where kind of it is what it sounds like in a lot of ways. Seed agriculture is where you plant seeds and they agriculture. Basically, it's a form of agriculture that relies on planting seeds rather than cutting from existing plants. Because remember, we talked about this right here had to do with like cloning plants, and it wasn't for people that were in it for the long haul to create things. So seed agriculture, that's H. Next up, Southwest Asia. We know that Southwest Asia was the first area to integrate seed agriculture with the domestication of animals. That means training animals to help you do tasks that they wouldn't usually do in the wild. Agriculture, as it was stated not only in your textbook, but it was stated in your notes. Agriculture is the deliberate modification of the Earth's surface by cultivating plants and rearing animals. And that means like training animals to, I hate to say do your bidding, but kind of. When I say do your bidding, it makes it, to me, it's like the parrot on Aladdin. I don't remember his name, but if someone could remember his name, I'd be like pumped. It is like really on and off blurry. Let's try to fix that a little bit. Maybe things are happening. Okay. What's up, Andy? Glad you're that long time subscriber got that shout out. Transhumance. So to think transportation, that would be the seasonal migration of livestock between mountains and pastures. That would be D. Double cropping. This is something that is done specifically in Iago. I'm not gonna I saw some people put I first read that, I was like, I saw the IAGO and I was like, is that Yago? Is that Lago or what is it? That doesn't look right. Iago. Iago is the animal that does the bidding. All right, who's our Darth friend we're having? Darth friend we have, he just joined the chat. So double cropping is a practice that is used specifically in China, I believe, and it is to increase crop yields. So that would be A. Threshing is where they beat the heads of the plants on the ground to separate husks from seeds. That's I. I know I'm gonna have some kids that are upset because all my lines are now going in different directions. Sorry, guys. Let me fix that real quick for you. And then agribusiness. Agribusiness is where farms that have been integrated into a large food production industry. The large food production industry is what we know as agribusiness. That would be E. And guys, if you're watching the live stream, but you're not currently on if you are not logged into the live stream to the point where you can join the chat and answer questions, I recommend it just so that you guys can participate. I know I might have kids watching from another school, and if you are, welcome, and you're free to participate as well. That's the whole reason we do live streams. Okay, so what is the most important way to divide the world into agricultural types, commercial versus subsistence? And so the most important way that we divide these is food consumed on or off the farm. Now, can somebody, we're going to look at 11 and 12. I'm going to wait a second for you guys. Oh, Della, I'm not super famous. I sent a text to a teacher at another school and I was like, hey, you can let your kids know things and stuff. 11 and 12, how does the U.S. government compensate for farmer overproduction? Why do different places have different agricultural practices? If you guys could, right now, I want you to try to come up with those two. If you're not sure about 11, try to guess 12. If you're not sure about 12, try to guess 11. I'm going to wait for a second, though, and I'm going to be quiet, and then I'm going to have kids complain tomorrow that the live stream was. What's up, Natalie? Yes, Antonia, can another way be profit versus their own consumption? Yes, but the best way to kind of determine that still kind of works within the genre of is the food consumed on or off the farm. Okay, it looks like I'm seeing a lot of good answers here. So, oh no. Oh, guys, this green marker right here, I thought it was like the cap wasn't all the way on, and I got really concerned that maybe it was dry, but look, it's not dried out. Hi, Fred. I'm gonna laugh tomorrow when I get some of y'all's review sheets and you've drawn, and likewise, Fred, on your paper. I do have some students texting their mind asking, how do you chat on the live stream? You have to be logged into your not school account because you have to be sure you're not logged into your school account, because when you're logged into your school account, it doesn't let you join the chat. So if you have like another Google account or something, that's what I would do. Okay, sorry. Okay, so looks like I'm having some good answers. So for number 11 and 12, number 11 is, how does U.S. government compensate for farmer overproduction? the government pays farmers to fallow in something we call they pay farmers subsidies. What else did you guys get for number 11? I'm looking. I remember something about surplus. That's true. They pay farmers for their surplus. Andy, we need to stay on target. Farmers are subsidized for planting fallow fields. Very good, very good. There's Harley. Okay. And then number 12, why do different places have different agricultural practices? Y'all, looks like you kind of got that one. It's the climate. So for this one here, how does the U.S. government compensate for farmer overproduction? They give money for farmers to plant, who plant, to not grow crops, and that's actually to prevent overproduction. They call these subsidies. Question for those of you who are in the chat: do you have to be on a computer to chat, or how do you chat when you're on your phone? Some students that are asking, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I've never done it from my phone, so I don't know. Why do different places have different agricultural practices? It is largely due to climate. It is largely due to climate. But not only is it due to climate, but also development, especially as some places are just going to be more developed than others, and at different times people can develop things. You go down, in order to join the chat, you just go down into the comments is what I'm reading here. Go to the comments and just start typing. People are on the YouTube app on their phone. You just use it like comments. To me, on my screen, it looks like a chat. A bar should say top chat, and you click the down arrow to chat. So hopefully that helps for my humans who are wanting to join the party. Different places have different soil types. Smitha, that is true, but even more than that, because the whole reason they have different soil types is because they're in different climates. So that's kind of like one builds on the other. Okay, next up, different types of agriculture. So, so for starters, as we're looking here, okay, I don't know what color, do you guys have any preferences for the next color that I use to write in? Got like blue and orange, pink, got purple. Ooh, I have my dark purple that I love. I don't know if you guys have any preferences, but I'm torn. All right, Temmie and Allie are both saying blue, so you guys get it. It's going to be like a baby blue. When I was in middle school, this is what we knew that my next door neighbor knew everything about Justin Timberlake because he was an NSYNC and she was a fan. And his favorite color was baby blue, like North Carolina blue, I think. North Carolina blue, because that's what he liked. So good times, good times. I like when I'm reading like magenta, lavender, blue, red, black, purple. That's funny. You guys are great. So we're going to do North Carolina blue, so good times. Mediterranean. So this is basically, the definition is it's an area with a climate similar to the Mediterranean. And they pretty much primarily grow grapes and olives, etc. Where's it found? We're talking Italy. We're talking Greece. We're talking California. Now, is it a commercial or subsistence farming? Well, you have to think, when we grow grapes, it's like a vineyard. And is this commercial or subsistence? It is definitely commercial. It is definitely commercial. Because you think about vineyards, you think about people going on like wine tours and stuff like that, and touring vineyards. They do that a lot in California. That's kind of a common thing to do at it. And then Italy and Greece also have all the things. Shifting cultivation. So shifting cultivation is a lot of different things. It occupies oh geez, looks like it's like all over the place. Occupies the largest percentage of the world's land, and is characterized also by slash and burn agriculture. Now, shifting cultivation means you grow at one place, then you leave. I'll calm down with yourself. Shifting cultivation is basically where you grow in one area, you grow for your family and stuff like that, but as you find the need to let the soil rest, you slash and burn it and move on. Where is it found? It's found in hot and humid climates such as the Amazon. However, when you like slash and burn and move on, you're depleting, you deplete soil nutrients. And there's this huge like debt for nature swap. Rainforest zones like the Amazon, very good. Hey, Ahmed. Or Ushna. I'm calling you by your last name. That's cool. Erica said, isn't it like typically on the West Coast? I think you're asking about Mediterranean agriculture. The West Coast of the United States definitely has a more Mediterranean agriculture. And the climate, that's for sure. Intensive subsistence is like small fragment plots. Is the small fragment plots where you have lots of different, you're growing lots of different things. Jillian, debt for nature refers to you owe a debt to nature basically because you have to wait. It takes a long time to repay what you've used because you have, when they slash and burn, they do it so that everything like decomposes and goes back into the earth. But when you do that, you're creating a situation where it's going to take a lot longer to it's going to take a lot longer. I'm trying to figure out what the words are. It's going to take a lot longer to undo the damage that's been done for it. Hopefully I moved the paper enough. I was trying to, it's kind of like a weird thing when I move the paper. Let me know. Intensive subsistence refers to small fragment plots with high density. Small fragment plots on fairly small farms, but with a high agricultural density, meaning there's a lot going on for a small space. There's a whole lot going on. This is good for like densely populated areas. Like in Southeast Asia. Now, so these would generally be smallish farms. I would generally say they're medium but they have a very high density of product. Very high density of product. Intensive is small land with large labor, and extensive is large land with small labor. Amy, that'd be a good example. Erica, would this include double cropping? Double cropping is more just a practice, not necessarily a part of intensive subsistence, but I think in China, where it's done, it is done to yield high profits. It's just a practice to yield high profits. Pastoral nomadism. In pastoral nomadism, there's the herding of domestic animals. They practice transhumance. It's pre-agricultural. The size of the group that is moving is indicative of their power. The bigger the group you have, the more powerful they are. Tammy, I'm going to be honest, off the top of my head, I do not know the answer to your question. She asked, so is wet rice dominant or non-wet rice dominant? I feel like wet rice is. That's what my gut is saying, but I could be very wrong. Don't quote me on it. Where is this found? Pastoral nomadism is primarily found in arid climates. How different from other how is it different from other subsistence farms? They don't plant and settle. They get enough food for their people and kind of move on, but they don't plant for it. Right, and they mostly rely on animals for food and protein instead of plants. And that is like they don't exist in surplus. They're not going to walk around and like then sell 90 of their cattle. They try. It's very much trying to keep a balance for sure. Speeding this up a little bit. Okay, what type of agriculture occupies the largest percentage of the world's land? Largest percentage of the world's land. That is on your paper, so hopefully we know that it is. Literally no one asked for this color and it was super upsetting to me, so I don't even care. 15. Agriculture. Actually, somebody did ask for lavender, and I think at least one person said purple, so I'm just going to pretend. Shifting agriculture. It takes up the world's largest type of land. What type of agriculture is practiced by the largest percentage of the world's people, though? That would be intensive subsistence. Okay, how is commercial agriculture different from subsistence? As someone said earlier, commercial is marketed for profit, whereas ooh, Smitha just like blew my mind a little bit. Smitha just said she looked up the when she was looking for a debt for nature swap definition. Let's look at this. It's a financial transaction in which a portion of developing nation's debt is forgiven for a commitment to protect nature, which would absolutely make sense in terms of slash and burn agriculture. So I'm going to go back up here and write a little reminder knowledge bit. The financial transaction. The financial transaction in which debt is forgiven if it protects nature. Okay. Woo! Okay, cool. Temmie. Commercial profits. Oh, commercial is profit and subsistence is for survival. Oh, I do like that definition. Good definition. Everything's happening. All the things. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, Antonia, I don't know. Sometimes Miss Puckett just has to say, I don't know. If you can tell me what entailment is, I can tell you whether or not it's like it, but you guys are brilliant and I love you, and I just want you guys to know that. I feel like these live streams are always a great lesson for me that I do not know everything, and I still have a lot of room to grow. Hashtag Pobody's Nerfect. What is commercial? How is commercial agriculture different than subsistence? To me, I really did like that. Commercial is for profit. Subsistence is for survival. Why has the number of farms declined in more developed countries? Oh man, Antonia, I have not read or watched To Kill a Mockingbird in a long time. Oh, look at all you guys knowing the things. Okay, tell me is it sure. Okay, Jillian, they can import their crops from LDC. Oh, okay. Why is the number of farms declined in more developed countries? Jillian's on task here, and I'm like, so like, I'm okay. So Jillian, awesome job. They can import their crops from LDCs, and they can get more out of a smaller amount of farms with modern technology. That's true. That's very true. Erica, I very much appreciate that. I read that, and I don't know if you heard me, but I feel like there was an audible oof. That's true. Okay, why is the number of farms declined in more developed countries? Excellent job, Jillian. They kind of outsource they outsource land basically. Like we're going to use land in LDCs because it's cheaper and there's more cheap labor. They use land in LDCs. They can get more of less land. We're still using 13% more land than we ever did before, but we are we're using 13% more land than before, but we're growing exponentially more food and we have way less farms, but that's just because we have better technology and we can use things more productively. That's for sure. Absolutely. Next things and stuff, flipping over. Okay, so why does the US produce so much inedible corn? Oh, Darth Plagueis, you're stressing me out. And guys, like I said, if you're coming from a different class or something like that, like I said, because I know I did message another teacher. If you're from a different class, please feel free to participate. this is a safe space. Because we all know that Miss Pocket is super not perfect, and so I very much value your input and what you have to say. So why does the U.S. produce so much inedible corn? Basically every animal feed. That is one. That is one piece, but then there's also not just that, but that would be for ethanol purposes. Oh my gosh, I didn't even. Oh man, today's a day for ethanol, like that's used in plastics. Sorry guys, I'm gonna be obnoxious and flip this back over. Biofuel, ethanol, very good. Good, Jack. So up on page on number 20, it said, why has the number of farms declined in more developed countries? The land in LDCs is cheaper. They get more out of less land. I was just looking at my notes because I hadn't looked up at my notes in a few minutes. Also because based on the development of the land, there is a possibility oh goodness gracious. Let's be let's there you go. Anyways, things are happening, everything's wrong. Also because of their development, they've moved on to different sectors of the economy, which would mean moving into different sectors of the economy. They've moved from the that like primary sector. They're moving on to secondary, which is like manufacturing and processing, tertiary, which is like management positions and things like that, and quaternary, which is like research and development stuff. And so they've moved on to these aspects. And so because of their development, they just have less focus on that. Oh, Della, we'll see if we can mystery Skype with that class, but I don't, their bell schedule, I think, is different than ours. Boop, boop. Okay. Why does the U.S. produce so much inedible corn? Anyways, for ethanol, plastics, also bio-based plastics and biofuel, things like that. So all this is true. Why do some parts of the world produce more cheese than milk? And that would be, does anyone have any idea why that is? And 22 and 23 are kind of in the same family, so let's look at those. They import milk and create cheese from it because it's more efficient and profitable, and modern technology allows it. All that is true, Jillian. I'm looking for a little bit more. There's another reason that we're missing, and it has to do with it doesn't spoil as fast. Very true. What do we call that area in which it, I don't want to say that it spoils like an adequate amount, but there is a certain farm consolidation that's partially. Mom Thinner said so. It's out of, okay, so I'm glad for this. You guys make me laugh sometimes. It makes me happy. Why do some parts of the world produce more cheese than milk? They're kind of existing outside the milk shed. And so because they're further from milk shed, it makes more sense for them to process and create something that will not spoil as quickly and is less perishable. What factors have increased milk sheds? That would be a lot of things. That could be highways, transportation. Refrigeration. And guys, I don't feel like trying to remind myself on how to spell refrigeration. I always want to spell it with a D, and I know it doesn't have a D, but that's, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of, I always want to spell it with a D. And so I'm gonna pretend that this is the fridge that I built and this means refrigeration. I know, guys. I know. I'm really, really good at it. Dairy farms are close to the market. If they're too far from the markets, they're too far from the markets to send fresh milk, like New Zealand. Good. Okay, I'm trying to think of other things. I bet. What are the beliefs? Oh man, guys, it is a day. What are benefits and hindrances of using genetically modified foods in Africa? So this was in chapter 8, lesson 4. Ooh, Oshana, I like that you said pasteurization. Good word. Man, this one looks like it's got you guys stumped. Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Benefits and hindrances of GMOs in Africa. Della, we did do this in the atrium. Good call. This was the day that we kind of okay, abiotic stuff doesn't work anymore, so that would be a hindrance. It could cause problems with antibiotics. It could render them ineffective. Has something to do with their immune system. It does. It means that where you'd have higher pest resistance to prevent diseases. I feel like I'm seeing some like vague things for this. Okay, so for benefits, you get higher yields when you get genetically modified organisms. You have an increase in nutrition, depending on who you ask. And you also have pest resistance. That's one of the big reasons they do it in America. I'm really looking forward to the fact that I'm pretty sure I just spelled resistance wrong, but the internet is forever. Okay. The hindrances could be anything to reduce the effectiveness of antibiotics, increase dependency on the U.S. for trade. And the U.S. is so far away and is only one country, whereas it hurts their trade with Europe because Europe has a lot of laws about GMOs, and so it could. Tori, that's right. It also tastes better. Benefit is that food can taste better with it. But in Europe, because of all the laws that because of all the laws about GMOs, in Europe, it would hurt trade. Because if Africa started using GMOs, they wouldn't be able to trade as much with Europe, and Europe is so much closer. Smitha, you're dropping all kinds of like knowledge bombs. Smitha just said they can also genetically modify to prevent diseases. For example, I think they cross tulips with potatoes to increase vitamin A and prevent eye problems for kids who are at risk. Man, guys, don't know about you, but the glass is wearing me. Super appreciates that. Yo. Okay, so what is commonly grown in Mediterranean agriculture? That would be grapes, olives. What problem is shared by farmers in more and less developed countries? I'm seeing right now there's only like 4 of you on my screen. Other humans, where are you? Camilla, come back. All the humans, come back. Amy ish, they grow a lot of those things. They grow a lot of those things, but kind of I want your primary focus to be on grapes and olives. Mariana, look at you. You're here too. Samika, not enough pay. Yes. Don't they try to prevent your because of the transformation? Kind of, but ish. Look at it. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you that started commenting. That made me so happy. Good job, guys. Inadequate income. Okay, so what are some ways to increase the world's food supply? What are some ways to increase the world's food supply? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody? Jack K, in terms of subsistence. Who's Jack K? Danny Nico. Who's Danny Nico too? Sometimes, guys, your names. MDCs give food to LDCs, use machines and modern technology, give surplus to LDCs using more GMOs. I can understand that. The surpluses to LDCs. There you are, Jacob. Okay. Um, GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Ah, that's right, Danielle. Sorry. Y'all, you're killing me with your names every time. So in your textbook, this question is answered on page okay, it's on page 387. And the three main things that it talks about is sensitive land management, limit the use of chemicals, and integrated crop and livestock. Very good. Expanding fishing is another one. That's an answer I had. Hold on. So I don't know how helpful this is going to be to you guys, but like, here's something I did. It's hard to tell what the answers are, though. Less GMOs, better crop techniques, expanding fishing, also cultivating the oceans. That's a thing. Absolutely, Amy. That is 100% correct. She said GMO is basically an organisms that have their genes altered and allowed for a specific purpose, like disease resistance, increased productivity, or nutritional values. Growing foods that require less land. So basically, when we're looking at this, there's a lot of pieces that go into it. Everything's wrong. I'm dropping things. Identification of new food sources. They do preserve, Danielle, the chemicals do preserve the fruits, except for the question is at what cost? Less GMOs and pesticides, that's one of the thoughts. Basically, sustainable agriculture involves application of limited, if any, herbicides to control weeds. In principle, farmers can control weeds without chemicals, although doing so requires additional time and expense that few farmers can afford. Researchers have found that combining mechanical weed control with some chemical yields yields higher returns per acre than relying solely on one of the two methods. So when you combine them and you kind of hybridize them, you're going to get like a better general response. My gosh, Jillian, I'm tired enough that like I looked up and like I really quickly looked at your statement, less GMOs or pesticides, and I read less gnomes or pesticides, and I was like, yes, the fewer the gnomes, the better the situation. Hashtag always less gnomes. Little gnomies. Oh, I forget. That was a thing. I don't know who's ever said that, but someone said that. Okay, so how's plantation farming different from other forms of commercial or agriculture farming? So commercial agriculture, there's very little labor. Crop is cultivated mainly for the local market in the country. There's quick profit from the field, but profits are usually comparatively less than plantation agriculture. Plantation agriculture requires lots of cheap labor. It is cultivated for export and for the country's market. You don't see a profit for about 5 to 6 years, but it has huge yields after that, such as rubber, tea, coffee, spices, etc. Also that. That was nice, Jillian. Go Samika. We cheer on our friends. Antonia just asked, but if we have less GMOs, then food is going to perish faster and will not sell for profit because people want more out of their crops to satisfy their customers. I mean, it depends on where you're at because some people will pay to not have GMOs. And because of refrigeration and other techniques that can be used, it's not necessarily the case that everything would be more profitable. So it's there are different schools of thought, for sure. Things and stuff. Okay. So other things. What are some strategies for increasing the food supply? That'd be increasing exports from countries with surpluses, expanding the land area for agriculture, expanding fishing, and increasing the productivity of land. So I think that there was some confusion on what is never mind. I don't know what I'm saying. Um, Are GMOs better than regular crops? Wouldn't crops be expensive because it takes more work to do without GMOs and pesticides? Very true, guys. You all have very good points to make about GMOs. It is a very hotly debated topic, and a lot of people have very strong feelings about it. It's an interesting topic for sure. What are some of the strategies for increasing food supply? Increasing exports from countries with surpluses, expanding the land area. I feel like number 27 and number 29 are like eerily similar questions. Yes, also, but why the gnomes? Okay, so Tori, that is exactly what I said. And I was like, maybe we got the questions confused because I was like, maybe I was looking at sustainable agriculture and that wasn't right. So there's also that. Expanding land area for agriculture, expanding fishing, increasing productivity of land. That's I like my answer for this one better than I liked my answer for the last one though, because apparently I answered them in two different ways. This is my better answer. Hashtag why gnomes. Guys, tomorrow on the screen there's going to be like a winking gnome when you come in. It's going to be real creepy. How do you know the difference between the world food supply and food supply? I'm gonna be honest with you, Mariana. I don't feel like that's a thing you're gonna have to know the difference between. Stick with my answer for 29 because I like it better. How do drug crops affect food supply? This is land that would be used for food is land that would be used for food is then used instead for drugs, so it further depletes food supply. Why would fishing be profitable? If we increase our fishing and expand fishing, we get more proteins and we have more food for people. Fishing is often used, but because it's not used so to the extent that it could be. There we go. Okay. Things and stuff. Okay. Why have dairy? And guys, it says FRQ. There will not be an FRQ this time because that would be after spring break, and I'm not going to do that to you. We will do like a practice FRQ. We'll do it maybe as a warm up or kind of the first 15 minutes of class, have you write it, and then we'll kind of see where the cookies crumble. Our dairy farms are currently more, why dairy farms? Oh my gosh, reading words is sometimes hard. Why have dairy farms decreased in the US? Our dairy farms are currently more efficient. They get more milk per cow, therefore we need fewer cows to keep up with the demand, therefore we have fewer farms. Some days are better than others. Yay. Look, it's a cow. It's a happy cow. And it looks like a bumblebee, but it's not. So I'm really good at things. Also very good, Jillian machines, technology. How has technology changed this model? Okay, so you have for Von Tunen, at the center point, you have the market. Just outside of that, you have market gardening, intensive subsistence farming, and dairy farms. Outside of that, you have lumber forests. Outside of that, grains and field crops and things of that nature. And then finally, on the further outskirts, you have like livestock and ranching. If you remember, this is what I kind of called like the fairy tale setup, because of course this was set up in Germany, which is where like the Brothers Grimm were from. And so you would have like a town, you have people with like their little dairy farms and stuff like that, and they're all kind of fairly close knit. Then you have like the enchanted forest around that, and then the grain, kind of the outcasts are sitting in these big like plots of land growing grains and fields, and then livestock and ranching beyond that. And then you got the wilderness. Good mood today. Oh, Camilla, you're funny. Chicken farms. Why do we have large chicken farms? How are farms such as Tyson run and organized? And where are chicken farms and why? Okay, so chicken farming. Why do we have large chicken farms? And how are farms such as Tyson run? Okay, so basically there's a health craze like in the 70s where it pretty much established that Camilla, I laughed. I thought it was funny. Wait, Jillian, allows for better transportation so farms can be further from cities. Yes. Okay, so why do we have large chicken farms? Okay, so there was a health craze in the 70s, and chicken is considered healthy because it has less bad things. It's not a red meat. low carb, high. It's good for like a low carb, high protein diet. But with less. It's more of it's a leaner meat. Anyways, we consume a lot of protein also in America. The more developed your country is, the more protein you consume. And farmers such as Tyson, they're organized in something called vertical integration, which basically means they run the chicken farms, the hatcheries, the every single aspect of production they run, including and not limited to marketing, etc. Arkansas and other places, basically where our chicken farms, there Arkansas and other places that are not suitable for more traditional farming. Basically, chickens don't need much. I don't know if you've ever seen where chickens like live their lives, but it's usually on things that look pretty like it looks pretty crummy. It does not look like a joyful place to exist in the world. Also, Tori, because Oprah went on a chicken thing. There was actually yes, there is something called horizontal integration. It just works differently. So there was a time period in the 90s where especially there was this big outbreak of something called mad cow disease, and it was like a horrible, like it was a really big deal, and it's something that like farmers are still super afraid of because it's just a whole thing. We're like fairly certain in my family that my grandmother may have passed away because of mad cow disease. She in 1997 she started taking this. She had really bad rheumatoid arthritis, really bad. Like had all of her joints and like had her knuckles replaced and her other, not just her knuckles replaced, but like her toe knuckles. I feel like that's not the right word. Replaced when she was 40 years old, and because of that, her at 40 years old had those replaced. And rheumatoid arthritis is an immune deficiency, and so or it's an kind of an autoimmune disease. And so she was on immune suppressants, and one of them is there was this drug called Emerald, and you actually they have commercials for it and stuff today. Back though when it came out in 1997, it was made with a bovine serum, which is serum from cows. Now it is made with a synthetic serum, but back when it was made with a bovine serum, there was a thought, and it was kind of thrown into the conversation that she may have that's where she got it from. Like I said earlier, it was made with a bovine serum. It can lay dormant in your body for like 10 years. And so about 10 years later, that's when she passed. And so that's actually what our family thought. So that was kind of crazy. Fun fact, that's the reason Miss Puckett can't give blood, because a person I'm related to may or may not have died from mad cow. We don't know for sure because you'd have to cut open her brain, and we did not do that. So collectively, family decision, don't cut up Nana's brain. Not okay. She was a good human, my Nana. Anyways, it's a cool, you learned about that in PHS. What's PHS? It's a whole thing though. It was a really like, it's interesting of all the things. So like you guys got real quiet because we're like, oh, I'm talking about her grandma who died. This is getting bleak over here, folks. But we love all the things. She was a super good human. That's where I get all my what's it called? All my song, but a lot of the singing. My grandma was like a singer and a snapper. She would like her joints were really bad and she couldn't like snap real well, but she would like snap around the kitchen looking for like canned goods. It was awesome. Good human, my Nana. During the epidemic, is that the Which epidemic? Is it the 2015 there was bird flu? That's true. England had to ban exports of their meat. Yeah, they did. That's the whole thing. I'm confused by that. Yeah, so the principles of health science. It was a really crazy thing. You know, I'm watching another show right now. Okay, we're gonna move on from talking about diseases. We have a test tomorrow. Anyways, furthermore, what questions do you guys have for me before your test? It's 7:08 p.m. and so we've been on here for about an hour. I'm sure this says birds flu. I thought do you guys remember the swine flu epidemic? I was working at a summer camp that year. All the kids got swine flu. And it was just like everybody would like go in and like even counselors were getting knocked down. They'd have like 104 fever. Yeesh. Wet rice dominant stuff. Oh, geez. Oh. Okay. So what I'm seeing a lot of, is there anything that's covered on the test a lot? Um, climate is covered on the test a lot. Let me see if I can do something with you real quick. Give me a second. Intensive versus geez, everything. Oh man. Okay, so intensive versus extensive. That's extensive is using a lot of land with a low agricultural density to give the land a rest. And intensive farming is where you have less land or a smaller amount of land, but you use high agricultural density to plant a lot of things. Oh man, oh man. Okay. There was a question on the reading guide about what happened to the number of farms in the U.S. since 1940. You just need to know that it decreased in their numbers. Yeah, Nathan, you just have to know that it's since the 1940s, the number of farmers has steadily decreased, but the number of land for agriculture has actually increased. So that's kind of a fun fact. I don't know what I'm singing. I don't really know what it's from, but I'm kind of just like digging the tune right now. A little bit here for it. Yes, Darth Plagueis, yes. Do we need to know about the Green Revolution? I would say so. You need to know that what the Green Revolution. You need to know about like the three. You should know kind of what the three changes in the revolution were. You have the first revolution that's like the barely getting there one. You have the second revolution that happens after the industrial revolution that's like mechanized things, and then the third one is like technological and um, research based. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I'm gonna check back in a second to see what you see. But I thought this might be helpful to show you guys kind of the presentation in which all the things are happening. You guys with me yet? Jillian, I say yes, it's helpful for the test. Okay, cool, look at that. Okay, so you guys can see it. Goals. Okay, while I'm doing this part, guys, I can't read your commentary, so there's that. Okay, so in looking at this, I'm going to kind of do something where I pull this out and do that to it. If I do that, then I can still see your comments. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So I don't know how helpful this is to you guys, but look at that. Antonia, that would always be a good thing to know. Antonia said, in the topic of the Green Revolution, do we need to know how it failed to help sub-Saharan Africa because of the desertification? Absolutely. If there's something unique that happened in it, you should know that. Antonia, biotechnology, can you list examples of sustainable agriculture? That's in the textbook. Tammy, I go over the hearths. Oh, geez, there's so many things. Okay. Okay, so agriculture and LDCs. So shifting cultivation is one. This is characterized by slash and burn agriculture, clearing and farming, depleting of soil nutrients. It's about a quarter of the world's land to feed less than 5% of the population. Usually, this is practiced. People are practicing subsistence farming when they do this, which is why it says subsistence. Info on the Green Revolution is in your textbook, I believe, 8.4. Pastoral nomadism, arid and semi-arid climate. It's the herding of domesticated animals, 20% of the earth for 15 million people. Migratory. Intensive subsistence agriculture. This varies. It usually hits densely populated areas such as East, South, and Southeast Asia. Characteristics are small fragment plots after generations, high agricultural density, farming by hand, some animals and tools. It's wet rice dominant in South China and wet rice not dominant in North China. They practice double cropping. Is there an echo thing? Oh no, do we need to know about undernourishment? Ananya, I would say that's always a good thing to know. Reorganized after communism. That could be true. Are you guys hearing an echo? Is it weird? I can try to mess with a few things if that's the case. basically after the reorganization of communism, the reason it says that is because that has to do with China and trying to establish functional system there. And undernourishment increased in South Asia and decreased in East Asia, and especially in China. Good. I mean, there are like 5 tabs open. Clint echo screen. Okay, you guys are funny. Okay, so found in the tropics, plantation farming is found in the tropics and subtropics. It's commercial agriculture. It's characterized by commercial agriculture. It's commercial farms will own it, but it's in an LDC. Yeah. Found in LDCs, owned by Europeans or Americans for profit for MDCs, large farms in sparsely populated areas, and they provide for the workers. LDCs generate money for development and by selling export crops, like this rubber plantation. Okay, so that was that day. Okay, now that is screenception right there. Your mind will be blown. Okay. You keep on believing the dreams that you wish will come true. A dream is a wish your heart makes when you're fast asleep. Dream you will your heartache. Whatever you wish for, you may. Okay, I'm having a good time over here, guys. I'm enjoying this. All right, later, Nathan. You have a wonderful day. Okay, so we did that was all the things. Which is probably the first form of agriculture in human history. That would be seed agriculture, because remember, hunting and gathering is technically pre-agriculture. Okay, agriculture and MDCs. Oh, I like that you guys like that song. Me too. I was like, I feel like this is like, oh, that's happy. We're agricultural regions and MDCs, mixed crop and livestock farming. Guys, I appreciate that I can break out into song, and it's kind of like, oh, of course, the fuck it is. That's happy for me. Dairy farming, grain farming, livestock ranching, Mediterranean agriculture, commercial gardening, and fruit farming. In MDCs, we see far less farms and less farmers because of the efficiency through technology. Agribusiness, I feel like you guys already know. Mixed crop and livestock. Most crops are fed to livestock. Livestock supply the manure. This is the first group to see the integration of seed agriculture and domestication of animals that was in Southwest Asia. Dairy farming happens in the northeastern United States and northwestern Europe. That really follows von Thunen's model, especially in the northeastern United States. That's where a lot of dairy farms are. Basically, it's that milk shed ring surrounding a city from which milk can be supplied without spoiling. It's labor intensive, feeding cows in winter and high operating costs. That's true. But remember, I don't know if you guys remember the video I showed you with the cows that were like losing their minds and loving their lives after being in the barn all winter. The further away from the city a dairy farm is, the less likely it is to make fresh milk. So what would it make instead? It's going to make more processed milk, like butter and like cheese, etc. So grain farming, that would be Kansas, Colorado, is the winter wheat belt, and Dakota, southern Canada, Montana are the spring wheat belt. Basically grown for consumption by humans and not animals. Wheat is the highest value crop per unit of trade. It is the world's leading export crop. Some firms have fields in both areas to maximize profit and costs. So they'll have one in the winter belt and one in the wheat belt. You think about that, like your job is to make bread. That's what you're going to want. Worldwide, China, U.S., Russia, and India produce the most commercial grain. Livestock and ranching, it's going to be an arid land that's kind of like not desert, but like not desert, but not great. It's kind of what I would think of as like the Old West or like what Arizona looks like. Like I think of Arizona and I think of like red dirt, that kind of business. Ranching is an inefficient use of land, mainly just it's mainly just in the western states because it has to be land that like you can't really use for anything else. So it's usually like kind of uneven land. The land wouldn't yield a whole lot of crops, and so you let animals roam it. It takes up the most land, so that's why it's according to Von Tunen. That is why that it would be on the first. It'd be furthest away from the market because you'd have to. It would be furthest away from the market because the land would be so expensive because you have to have a large plot of land to have a lot of cattle. And LDC's dry lands are used for pastoral nomadisms, and MDC's dry land is used for ranching. Kind of a difference. Mediterranean agriculture, that would be in Southern Europe, North Africa, Chile, South Africa, and Australia, basically western coasts. Olives, grapes, and fruits and vegetables, horticulture, the growing of fruits and vegetables and flowers. Yes, Samika, I can. Playing the Green Revolution, we'll get there. Commercial gardening and fruit farming. This is the southeastern United States. So guys, you do need to know like the location of places and also climate. I would know locations and climates. I feel like you will feel better if you do that. Green Revolution. Okay, let me switch screens again. Your screen sharing. I want to stop screen sharing. There we go. We're back. Okay. No matter how your heart is beating, if you ever one breaking. Who is Asper's old? Okay, so the Green Revolution is in your textbook. It's chapter 10, lesson 4. The Green Revolution was basically the invention and rapid diffusion of productive agricultural techniques during the 1970s and 1980s. Basically, the Green Revolution involves two main practices. It's the introduction of new higher yield seeds and the expanded use of fertilizers. Basically, because of the Green Revolution, the agricultural productivity at a global scale was increased faster than population growth. So, I think Valentine, I think that's Isabella, and if that's the case, Bella, for climate, you need to know kind of what's in that PowerPoint about what type of agriculture is in each type of climate. And there's a lot of questions on your on the quizzes that I posted that are about that to kind of help you find a way to quiz yourself. Do we need to know about biotechnology? I feel like biotechnology, you guys know about it. Like it's biotechnology is kind of taking the green revolution and taking it a step further and cloning the things and the stuff. Anywho, do we need to know about biotechnology? You need to know about biotechnology in that it was kind of in the third, that is part of the third agricultural revolution. The first agricultural revolution, there was a second, and there was a third. The first one was like, hey guys, seeds. Oh, hey Taylor. This was like, seed agriculture is a thing. You plant it, it grows. Everyone's like, mind blowing, this is crazy. The second one was like, the second one was more during like the Industrial Revolution. So this kind of introduces like really rudimentary mechanization. And then the third is like biotech. And I would argue that the Green Revolution is part of the third. It's part of the third agricultural revolution, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's not necessarily things. Wait, do we need to look at protein sources for developed and developing nations? I mean, you should know that ish. Well, that's what they called it, at least during the Green Revolution. What did they call it during the Green Revolution? What did they call what? They called fertilizers that? So in the Green Revolution, again, it was agricultural techniques, which was that produced higher yield seeds. And the second thing was, I'm thinking about dwarfs. I like that. Always a good thing. Hashtag gnomes. And the expanded use of fertilizers. Well, my sister went to college and she was originally a math major and then she switched and was an agriculture major. She came home really obsessed with like agriculture. And she got like really like obsessed with it and was really intense about the fact that our family just needed a compost and like everything would get better. Like everything would be great if we just had this really awesome compost. And I was like, "What's compost?" And I was like thinking it was like a lamp post. Like it's just like a lamp. It's like over here. It's the compost. That's not what it is. But yeah, good times. We never got that compost. Basically everything. Those are the things. Oh no. So guys, my computer is running low at like 10%. My computer is running at 10%, so I feel like it is just about that time. Any last questions before I go? Y'all use the quizzes, study, read the textbook. If there's something you don't understand, read the textbook. Let's try the things. Take ownership of your learning. If you are looking at the reading guide and there's something that you didn't quite get, like look over the reading guide. Be sure that you can quiz yourself on it. If you were to go to if you go to topics, I think it's assignment number 501. Okay, now it's telling me my battery life is at 6%. Any last questions? Oh geez, it's probably gonna like kick me off before it does the things. Okay, folks, so anything else? Oh no. Things in the stuff. This is 20 minutes shorter than our last one, so that's good. You guys, you have a wonderful, happy studying kind of evening. This Puckett piece